Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Josh Guerrero here, and welcome to the All Around Adventure podcast. Whether you're joining me for the first time or if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, I certainly do want to welcome you here. And as always, I want to thank you for being here today, just because I know that you're busy and that you have a lot going on. And there's also a lot out there on the internet these days that's trying to get your attention. But it just means so much to me that you've chosen to download and listen to this podcast. Now, if you are in fact new to this podcast and you're not entirely sure what we're all about here, this is the show where you hear amazing tales from afar and get the all-important life lessons that go along with them. Those will, of course, be stories from myself, as well as the amazing guests that I welcome on this podcast. But in this episode, you just have me today. This is a solo cast. Don't really have a fancy name for these solo casts like I used to in the past. This is just simply the solo show now. And like I said, I'll be sharing some of my own stories with you all, some of my own thoughts and ideas that I may have had recently. Hopefully you can extrapolate some good life lessons from them that you can implement into your own life. And I really don't keep these solo casts too terribly long, just short, sweet, and simple to the point, maybe around 10 to 15 minutes or so. Something for you to chew on as you go into your week. Now, with that, you notice that the title for this episode is My First Ultramarathon, and that actually just happened last night as I'm recording this episode. I ran my first ultramarathon. I ran the Fire Trail Series 50K, which was up in the Guadalupe Rive State Park in Spring Branch, Texas, and I'm just going to kind of share that with you all today, kind of talk a little bit about what was my motivation for doing it. What was it like being out there on the trail as I was running the event? And of course, like I said, what did I kind of learn from that and what lessons can I take from that to share with you all today? So first, we're going to talk about my motivation, or my inspiration, I think is probably a little bit more appropriate in this context. And, I've been connecting with a lot of incredible people for these past few years, and some highly capable individuals. And one of the things that was sort of kind of a common denominator amongst them is that they can run really, really far. Some of you might remember some of my previous episodes that I've had with some guests. I had Colin Cottrell on the podcast, who lost 100 pounds to go and then run 100 miles. I also had Tyler Geiger on the podcast. He's done ultra marathons in the past as well. And now he's a strength and conditioning coach. And so getting to interact with men like them. And of course, I also follow other men like Cameron Haynes, and I've been connecting with more and more runners as I've kind of been going about this journey, and they're all really, really incredible people. And so, and seeing some of the feats that they've accomplished through running, kind of inspired me to see what I might be capable of and what I might be able to accomplish. And for those of you who know my story, I kind of have a history of just dabbling into different physical challenges just to see what I'm capable of. Of course, I made it through Marine Corps boot camp. I have one bout as an amateur MMA fighter, which I won by knockout. I cycled 300 miles across the Gambia during my Peace Corps service. I thru hiked across the entire state of Michigan. And of course, now I kind of hold the title of ultramarathon runner or ultra runner for having completed this event. So that was kind of sort of my inspiration, wanting to take on a new challenge. And then, of course, connecting with some very, very incredible people in the ultra running space. And so I just really kind of wanted to take this on myself. And this was kind of sort of a redemption run for me too. Like some of you might remember, I had signed up for an ultra event late last year in October, but unfortunately I had to bow out due to injury. And I thought about maybe just letting it go and not worrying about that again. But then a part of me just couldn't really do that. Couldn't really let go. I knew I had to kind of get out there and I had to redeem myself, try to figure out how to work through, the injuries that I've had, how to, make my knee stronger and things like that. So I just kind of went back to the drawing board, found this event in Spring Branch, which happened to be pretty close by to me. So I didn't have to go very far to actually do it, and didn't really cost a whole lot to sign up either. So I just went for it. So lots of running, of course, to prepare for this. I kind of tapered off the weight training later on as I was getting ready for this event for the past 3 to 4 months or so that I was training. And I tracked my calories a little bit more closely, made sure I was tracking my protein intake as well so I could recover faster and get out there and run more and more. And eventually I got to the point as I was building myself back up where I was literally doing at least a half marathon every single Saturday. And there was a couple of times where maybe I didn't. Maybe I was just actually, I needed to recover a little bit more, so maybe I wouldn't go as far. But that was kind of a really, really cool feeling. Just to think that on any given day, I can just go out and run at least a half marathon. And again, that just kind of goes back to just having those good capabilities and something that I was building up to and everything like that. Now, going out and actually doing the event itself, I showed up really early to the Guadalupe Rive State Park to do my packet pickup, just kind of stretched out a little bit, just make sure that like my own self-aid station that I set up towards the back of my car was organized and ready to go. I had coolers with some drinks, and then I also had like my honey stinger waffles and energy gummies, and just getting all that stuff ready to go. And also I brought a couple of like changes of socks or something like that. And then I also made sure I had like some extra salty britches just to prevent with chafing and everything. Like that. Great company, Salty Britches. And then just got in line and just started running. And the way it was set up, it was a 5-mile loop. And there was different lengths that participants can take part in. They could either do like one loop to do the 5 miles. Some ran 3 loops to make it a 25 kilometer run. But of course, since I was doing the 50 kilometer run, I ran 6 loops. And I'd say like perhaps maybe the majority of the participants only did 1 loop. And then you saw like a lot of vehicles like emptied out of the parking lot after completing 1 loop. Fewer were doing the 3 loops to do the 25K, and even less so for the 50K. So after a couple of laps, I kind of found that most of my time out on the trail was really just by myself, where the first couple of laps I was talking to people, I was kind of getting to swap some stories with them, and again, just really, really cool people in the running community. So just that really kind of helped with kind of keeping my mind occupied, so I wasn't thinking about like the pain or how much further it was that I had to actually run. So that was really cool. But by the time I got onto like my 3rd and 4th lap, again, when there was less and less people out on the trail, I just turned on my Spotify, wanted to listen to a little bit of music as I ran, but I didn't run with headphones on so I could maintain some situational awareness. I just had a pocket in my runner's vest that I was wearing that I tucked my phone in and just kind of listened to music through the speakers. Now, one thing I didn't mention, though, is that this entire run took place at night. And that was definitely, I think, for safety reasons, because here in Texas, Central Texas, where I live, it's getting really, really hot right now, where we're at least going to get up into the 90s during the day, sometimes maybe even exceeding 100. And already there was a particular day where we had a heat index of 116 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty dang hot. So I think that was part of the reason why they decided to hold this event at night, so that way people weren't falling out from the heat or anything like that. So the race started at 8 o'clock at night. Now, for the first lap, I didn't have to use my headlamp or anything like that. But by the time I wrapped up that first lap, the sun was pretty much well set, and that's when I had to click it on. And then I ran the rest of my 5 laps to complete the race, all in the dark. And so that was, it was a little bit, it kind of messed with my head a little bit, just because, running through the dark and then also running at night, normally when I would be sleeping, here I was running really, really far. And that kind of going back to my preparation for this, though, is that I actually found myself staying up really, really late for the past like few weeks, just so that I can get my, I guess, what's the term? Just internal clock used to just staying up late and doing activity, which also kind of made it difficult because I do have a full-time job as an archaeologist, so I would be up to maybe like midnight, 1 o'clock, and then having to get up at around 6:30 so I can actually go into work. But it all paid off in the end because I didn't want to be out there on the trail and just kind of and have my body and my brain telling me, what are we doing out here? We should be in bed right now. Now, during the race, I kind of sort of made it to the pain cave, as some runners like to refer it to, probably around like my third or fourth lap. So probably anywhere from around like 15 to 20 miles into the race. And that's when my right knee kind of started acting up a little bit. And it was my right knee that I injured last time when I was trying to prepare for my other ultra event that I had signed up for. So that was kind of worrisome for a little while. But when I completed that lap and I went back to my car to my little makeshift aid station, I just popped an ibuprofen really quick, and that helped pretty significantly. And I just kept going. I just kept running, listening to the music, and I don't know where I stood amongst the other runners. I know I certainly didn't finish last. I might have actually came kind of close to finishing last. I'm not entirely sure. But the thing with me, though, is that, I didn't really care. Like, I didn't really care. I wasn't there to compare myself to anyone else. I wasn't there to set any speed records. I was there because I wanted to accomplish something great. And lo and behold, I ended up doing that just as well, too. Now, what lessons can I share with you all from this experience? And, well, I think just the biggest lesson, really, is just to keep moving forward. And, even though I was in the pain cave, as I had described earlier, I just kept moving forward, just one step at a time. It's literally the laws of physics. As long as you keep moving forward, eventually you will reach your goal, your destination. And that's the mindset that I had, even though I was starting to feel some pain out there. And I knew to expect pain. It's just part of the game, especially if you're going to run that far. So I just kept going. And then, of course, lo and behold, I ended up running 31 miles, which is the longest that I've ever run before, the furthest that I've ever run. And I think perhaps like another lesson to maybe go along with that, though, is that that mindset of perseverance, and that you can overcome hard things and you can overcome difficult things just as well too. I think we put a lot of limiting beliefs on ourselves, where we think that we're incapable of doing such things. But there's a quote that I remember that I do kind of like to fall back on, and that is, what one man can do, another man can do. And going back to what I mentioned earlier is that, I'm connecting with all these incredible people who are running really, really far and are highly capable. And I think to myself, well, why not me too? I've done lots of other incredible things in the past too. It's just, why can't I do this one thing? So, I prepared well for it. And like I said, it's a good feeling, where there was a point in my life where running 3 miles was a daunting task. And now I run literally 10 times that distance. So it's a pretty great feeling. So, all right, everyone, that's all I have for this episode. That's me doing my first ultramarathon. And whether or not I'm going to do it again, I'm not sure. That's kind of up in the air. I'll never say never on that. But I know my next immediate goal is going to be hitting the weight room pretty heavy. I kind of lost a little bit of muscle mass as I was doing all this cardio. So I think I'm going to hit the weights for a little while, see if I can put some size back on. So yeah, so stay tuned as I, post my journey on that front. And if you're not following me on the socials, I'm most active on Instagram at allaroundadventure.com. Feel free to connect with me over there, and let me know what you thought of today's episode, or if you just want to connect with me in any other way. All right, everyone, I really appreciate your time today again. I know you're busy and I know you got a lot going on, but it truly does mean the world to me that you've chosen to download and listen to this podcast, or tune into the All Around Adventure YouTube channel to watch the video. So, all right, everyone, with that, have an outstanding week, and be sure to check in next Monday when I feature a brand new episode featuring another fantastic guest. Definitely don't want to miss that one, I assure you. And yeah, all right, that's it. Have a great week, everyone. Talk soon.